Hi everyone, how you all doing? Welcome to my first post-press conference YouTube video of the season. There'll be plenty of these throughout the season if they go down okay. Obviously loads to talk about today. Eddie Howe answering lots of questions and lots of different topics. Going to get into the news lines in a second. Firstly, if you're new to the channel and you have not subscribed yet, please do subscribe. Give me a thumbs up if this is the sort of video you like, and leave your comments below. I will be reading the comments from this video and some of my more recent ones on the train down to Birmingham later on today, because I've got 3 hours to catch up on some stuff, so I will do it then. But anyway, let's get into today's video and what was said in the press conference. Eddie in upbeat mood ahead of the new season. Look, he said it's been a pretty difficult summer, as we all know. He says he needs he needs a bit of a rest. He's not refreshed, he's not re-energised, he needs a rest. But look, I think Eddie and the players are just thankful that the new season's upon us and they've got football to contend with, and it just almost takes the attention away from the Alexander Isak situation. Now, of course, that didn't stop us asking him multiple questions on Isak today. Eddie said the situation is still the same, there's no change to the situation. Isak's training on his own later on in the day. It doesn't sound the way Eddie's speaking that there will be a change until either the end of the transfer window, until that closure on the 1st of September, or until he gets his move away from the football club. But Eddie said, look, all my focus this week has been on Aston Villa and on the transfer window. It's been all consuming. I've been so busy with that, I've not been able to deal too much with Alexander Isak's situation. Now, he said he has had conversations with him, he's checked in on him, he thinks he's okay. He said it's not ideal, he's training on his own, but he feels he's okay mentally at the moment. I asked him if he asked him to play tomorrow, and he said, look, I've obviously been asking him to be involved, and we know what the answer is. He said, look, the conversations themselves will be kept in-house, kept private, but he said, look, obviously I want him to play, I want him to train. I remind you of what he said last week. He said, look, if it was up to me, he would be training with us yesterday and playing with us last weekend. So so it sounds very much still that it's Isak's situation to not be involved, and we know that anyways, essentially refusing to train with the group but still attending and reporting every day. So there's that grey area as to whether he's in breach of contract or not. Let's wait and see. Obviously, he's refused to be involved in the match tomorrow against Aston Villa. He was also asked outrightly today whether there's a way back for him at Newcastle, and he said absolutely there is. The door is not closed on anyone. He said it's not in my hands, it's in Alex's hands. And he said we will be led by him. Alex will dictate, and we will try and facilitate. So it sounds as though, the way Eddie's speaking there, that he believes he can win Alex round if he remains a Newcastle player after the closure of the transfer window, and I'm not surprised by that. I've been saying for a while now, my lives on Sky Sports News, that Eddie Howe is an unbelievable man manager, and he will have to do the mother of all man management jobs to get Alexander Isak into the right headspace to play. But he's done this before, Eddie Howe, at Bournemouth, and he believes he can do it again. This will be the biggest task he's had, but if Isak stays, Eddie believes he can get him in the right headspace to play. And I have to say, if the window closes and Isak still is a Newcastle player, they don't agree a fee with Liverpool, the sale doesn't happen, what would it do? What good would it do Alexander Isak to be sat, in the stands at home, and what is a very important season for Newcastle, some huge games to play, put yourself in the shop window, go and score goals, go and score another 25 goals. What worth would it be to sit and do that? One, it would be a stain on his character. Two, it wouldn't be great for his body, it wouldn't be great for his mind, and it just takes him, what player at 26 years old wants to sit there and not play for a year? It's incredible. We don't often see that, although there has been situations in the past with other players. But Eddie clearly feels he can win him back over and then reintegrate him if he needs to. He says the door's not closed. He says, but what we need to do right now is we need to forget about him and concentrate on the players who want to be here, the players who want to play. And he said, look, the rest of the squad are aware he's not there. Look, they're not stupid, they know fine well he's there, but they they need to just carry on. They need to almost put it to the back of their minds a little bit. So yeah, that was that. So it sounds as though the door's still open. I don't think anyone can come out and say he's definitely leaving or he's definitely staying. We can't say a definitive yet. It feels very much to me like it's on the edge, and it could go either way. And obviously a lot's going to be dictated what Liverpool decide to do. Ironically, Newcastle play Liverpool next week, and will all these conversations be happening in the week up to the Liverpool game, or will it be something that's tackled after that? I would suggest it'd be a difficult transfer to do in the space of a week. So if Liverpool are going to come to the table, I wouldn't be surprised if it is this week after the first games are out the way. And I look at that Liverpool attack, I said it last week, they only have Ekitike and Gakpo now as central strikers, and even then Gakpo plays off to the left under Arne Slot quite a lot, so there is a gap there for them to sign a striker. And you know, I would expect them to come back in for another bid, and I think Newcastle are braced for that bid, and then they'll have to make a decision as to what they want to do. I guess it depends how big the bid is. There's no point in them wasting their time coming in with, you know, another 110, 115 million. For me, they need to at least be 125 million pounds for Newcastle to sit up and listen. So that's where we are with the Isak situation. More interesting stuff though in transfers. Eddie keen to say today that they're still very active in the window. They need to add one or two more. He says, look, we really want to bring in a striker, you know, irrespective of the Alexander Isak situation. We want to bring one in. We know we don't have enough up front. I would expect Anthony Gordon to start up front tomorrow against Aston Villa. We know obviously Newcastle are trying to sign WISSA, and I'll get onto that in a second. But it sounds to me, the way Eddie's speaking, that they're still trying for a replacement for Isak. Whether they get one or not, I think there's a huge question mark over. But if they got replacement in plus WISSA, then that would be a phenomenal situation. However, what they don't want to do is go and splash out 60, 70, 80 million pounds on someone they don't really want. Like, you know, 70 or 80 million pound on a Nicholas Jackson, I don't see happening. Where I just don't know if there's many players that Eddie really wants to splash that money on. I mean, Sesko was one, and that's why they threw the kitchen sink at it. Of course, we all know what happened there. I just think the options are few and far between, and that's why I think the longer it goes on, the more chance there is of either A, Isak staying, or B, Isak going and Newcastle not getting in a replacement. That is a situation that we could see happen, and I would not be surprised if that is the situation and they just try and get through until Christmas with Anthony Gordon and WISSA, albeit WISSA will be away with Congo at the DR Congo at the African Cup of Nations in December, which would be far from ideal. So yeah, so look, he says we still need to add a couple more. I think they might still be looking for a central defender. Another one to come in, maybe not one to come in and start, but maybe one just to come in and give a little bit more depth in terms of squad. Maybe a younger player to come in and learn. So let's wait and see on that. And obviously they're looking for at least one striker, and Eddie hopeful that he's going to get one. That leads me on to WISSA. I don't know if you saw overnight, but Bournemouth have now agreed a fee with Brentford for Dango Outara. So Dango Unchained is what I've been saying to everyone. He's finally allowed to go from Bournemouth to Brentford, and that in turn should allow Newcastle to make their approach for WISSA. Of course, they've already had one bid, £25 million, turned down last month. Feels like a long time ago now. I expect Newcastle to go back in with an offer around about £35 million, maybe with a little bit of add-ons to try and secure WISSA. He's desperate to come here. He's not been training with the group. He won't play in their season opener this weekend, and he's made it clear he's desperate to come here. He wants to play Champions League football. He's got his heart set on Newcastle, and WISSA wants to come here. I think there was some late interest from Liverpool, which seems strange given the fact they want WISSA. They want Isak. Doesn't make sense, but that's what I've heard from one source. But I expect WISSA to get done, and I think Newcastle will accelerate their move for WISSA now that Dango Outara is moving to Brentford from Bournemouth. So that'll give Brentford just a little bit of comfort that they can perhaps allow WISSA to have those talks. So Newcastle just hoping they can agree a fee quickly. As representatives have been in London for the best part of a week now, I would expect that transfer to really materialise and push through over the weekend, and I think he'll be a really good player for you. I just think, you know, he's not a big name. He's going to come in and want the headlines, but I just think he knows the Premier League, he knows the way to go, He's a team player. He doesn't expect to start every week. I think he's one of these guys who can come in and be one of these sort of heroes that don't stand out. I just think it could be really good business for Newcastle, and I know that Eddie and the recruitment team are really keen on him. So let's see how that develops over the weekend. And final line is Jacob Ramsey having his medical this morning on Friday, arrived last night. Medical they've held off till today, but he won't play against Aston Villa. His club he's leaving at the weekend. It won't be done in time. Malik Chow, however, is in the squad and could make his debut. I would expect him to start on the bench, and Newcastle to go with Fabian Schär and Dan Burn at the back, but he's involved. He's trained for 2 days. Eddie says he's looking really good. So that's a roundup from today, guys. I'll be back with more content tomorrow from Villa Park, as hopefully Newcastle have got off to a winning start to the season. Okay guys, speak soon, take care, bye bye.